welcome to this video. I'm Obasa from The Lucrative Lady, and today I'm going to answer a really important question for how to increase your engagement on Facebook. And that question is all about, should you run engagement ads? Should you boost your posts or anything like that? I want to just give you, two sides to the coin response to this, and then in a separate video I'm going to show you exactly how to run this ad. I should let you know that this video is a series for how to increase your engagement on Facebook. Now, I've already recorded the first video in the series, so make sure you check that out once you finish watching this, and that is all about how to increase your engagement on Facebook, where I shared 10 strategies, really powerful strategies that I use that really helps you to do that. Now, this is video 2 in the series, all about answering this question about should you run engagement ads. And then of course in video number 3 I'm actually going to be showing you how to run engagement ads and how to do it for a very small amount of money, but it's really powerful for your business. Now, if it is your first time coming to my channel, then hello and welcome. I'm Obasa, the founder of The Lucrative Lady. And if you love this, show me that you love it by sticking around. And you do that by subscribing to this channel, and that would help me mightily and will of course show more people this video when you hit the likes. So please make sure you do that. Now, first of all, before I even jump in, this is a Q&A type of video where I'm going to be answering a ton of questions. Questions such as, what is an engagement campaign? Should you run an engagement campaign? What budget should you use for an engagement campaign? How long should you run an engagement campaign for? And lastly, I'm going to be talking about what types of businesses should run an engagement campaign. I want to answer all of these before I even dive in to teach you how to do this. So first of all, what is an engagement campaign? When I first started using Facebook, which is the biggest platform, the biggest social media platform, I didn't used to run any type of engagement campaigns. I'd run my ads and I would run conversions campaigns, and sometimes I'd dabble into traffic or reach campaigns. But I started to use an engagement campaign for a specific reason, and that is to gather social proof. So how does it work? Let's say you're going to run an ad on Facebook. You're most likely going to want to use a conversions campaign because you're looking for a conversion. What is a conversion? Conversion is an action, i.e. it's a sale, so you're looking for buyers, or it's for somebody to opt in for something or register for something, but you need them to do something. So the majority of people would use a conversions campaign. However, because we know that Facebook is a bit of a crowded marketplace, it's powerful, but it is crowded, there is one thing that really helps you to boost the conversions and to bring down your cost, and that is what's known as social proof. So what is social proof? Social proof is where there are lots of people showing that they like your ad. So you'll notice social proof when you see comments, lots of comments under an ad, or lots of shares under an ad. So looking at the campaign that you see in front of you, this is an ad and it has over 400 comments and lots of shares equally. That is social proof. Now what happens is that when somebody else sees that, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to notice the social proof, and that then says, oh, this must be good. So therefore the chances of them actually converting becomes much higher. So that is what social proof is. Now, what does that have to do with an engagement campaign? Now, one of the ways to boost that social proof at the beginning of running any type of campaign is to use an engagement campaign. So the engagement campaign has one job and one job only to do, and that is to increase engagement. Now, the thing about Facebook is that it's such a powerful platform that it knows who is most likely to convert and who is most likely to just engage. So there are people out there who, you know, that what they do the most on Facebook is engage. So that means they would click, they'd comment, they would share, they would like, they might not buy, but they will engage. Now you might think, Pam, do I really need those types of people if I'm trying to sell something? Yes, you do, because they give you social proof, and social proof is its own currency. So it's very important that we have social proof. So to finalize on this point of what is an engagement campaign is a campaign that you run in order to gather social proof so that you can then use the same ad with all of that social proof in your conversions campaign. So basically you're using a hack to boost your social proof so that you can then boost your conversions. That is an engagement campaign. So the second question that I always get is, Pam, should I run an engagement campaign? And the answer is yes, you should, but it also depends on your budget. Now, here is why. If you have a really, really big budget for your campaign, let's say you have, you're spending around 3K per month or 5K per month and above, right? That is a decent sized budget. It's not a big budget, but it's decent, right? You're not necessarily a beginner, in which case you can say to me, Pam, can I just go straight for the conversions campaign? And yes, you could, because conversions campaigns will also bring that social proof with it. But I always say, and this is what I do, and I try to preach what I practice, and that is that even if I am and I really want to just run a conversions campaign, I make sure that in tandem with that conversions campaign, I also have an engagement campaign running at the same time, because why not? I would rather take a small slice of my budget, run it as for engagement to boost that social proof, because I know that when that social proof comes in, it's going to boost the conversions, and the goal is conversion. So should you run an engagement campaign? 100%. Of course you should. Now, what are the downsides? What are the reasons why you might not want to run an engagement campaign? Well, to be honest, there are really no downsides, but I guess if you have a really tiny budget, if you said to me, Pam, I have like, $1,000 or £1,000 to run out, or even less than that, then it's really small. To be honest with you, I'd probably say, let's talk a little bit more about this, because you need to spend your money the right way. But the truth of the matter is, if you have a tiny budget, you might not see the need for social proof. And also, you can get social proof organically. There are ways of doing that. So I'd probably not advise you to do an engagement campaign if your budget is that small. But I would instead advise you on how to get that social proof organically without paying for it. But if you have a slightly bigger budget, you don't have the time to do the organic stuff, then you got to run an engagement campaign. That will always be my recommendation. So that leads me to the next question that I often get asked, and that is about budget. Pam, so what budget, if I am running an engagement campaign, what budget can I use? To be honest, this is why I love an engagement campaign. You can literally use the most minimum of budgets and it will still build the engagement for you. So that means you can start at just $5 per day, for real. Like, no kidding. And just run it for as long as you want. Now, personally, as I like to preach what I practice, I personally run an engagement campaign for just a few days, just to boost the beginning of my ad. I don't keep my engagement campaign running for weeks or even days. I kind of leave it running for maybe 3 days or 4 days, as long as, I've got some, decent sized social proof. And perhaps if it's a sales campaign that I'm running, so conversions objective, then, once the sales starts coming through, I turn off the engagement campaign, because now I want to put all of my budget into the conversions, because the social proof has now been gathered, and therefore the conversions campaign will keep building that social proof and of course generating those conversions. So in terms of budget, you can start at just $5 per day and it can just stay there for just a few days and you turn it off. So you're not really losing anything. What you're doing, in fact, is buying data, which is social proof, and that is priceless. And my next question is, Pam, how long should I run an engagement campaign for? I've sort of answered this already, but just to reiterate, I just run it for a few days, honestly, like 3 days, 4 days, and I'm done. Because what I do is I don't run it separately to a conversions campaign. I run them at the same time. So I set them up at the same time, and this helps me to sort of use both of them to build the engagement. But of course, the engagement campaign is going to do the heavy lifting, while the conversions campaign is going to focus on conversions. So therefore, I don't really need to run the engagement campaign for anything longer than 3 or 4 days, and it is off. So I don't leave it running for very long. Now that leads me to the final question, which is, Pam, what type of businesses should run an engagement campaign? Well, in all honesty, I think every business should run an engagement campaign, but for some types of businesses, it's more important than others. Now, if you are in an industry where there's a lot of skepticism, a lot of competition, but mostly skepticism, i.e. you need to, explain what you do. There's a lot of people who have something negative to say, etc. Then yes, you definitely want to have an engagement campaign running. So if you're in the coaching space, which I am, for example, you want to make sure that you have an engagement campaign running. If you're in a service business, yes, you want to make sure you have an engagement campaign running, because there's a lot of skepticism in these industries and people really value social proof. However, if you're in something like e-commerce, then the product does the speaking for you. Yes, social proof does help, and so an engagement campaign, will help. Of course it will, but it's not the be all and end all. And if you really don't want to do it, if you're in e-commerce, then you don't have to. But if you're in coaching, if you're in service, if you're in any of those types of industries that has a lot of, skepticism behind it, or a lot of competition behind it, etc., then yes, I highly recommend that you run an engagement campaign, because it's going to help you massively. So on that note, let's dive in so I can show you how to create an engagement campaign.
In this walkthrough, I want to show you how to set up an engagement campaign. Again, this is another type of campaign that you can use for your top of funnel ads. So we are back in Ads Manager. I go back to Create, and this time I'm going to click on Engagement. And by the way, you just click on this, right? It says to get more page likes, event responses, or post reactions, comments, shares, etc. So engagement, and I'm going to click, and down here it says, it gives you 3 options: post engagements, page likes, event responses. Just keep it on post engagements. So I'm going to click on continue, and the screen looks very similar. So now we are on campaign level. So you're going to name your campaign again. So case study, and US, top of funnel, oops, let's do that in capitals, engagement, and cold, because it's cold, it's top of funnel, so it's cold, and the date, right? So let's do the date over here. We click on next. So once you've named it, there's nothing to do, you just click on next over here. So again, it looks very similar to setting up a traffic campaign, just very subtle changes. By default, it's targeting everybody in the United Kingdom, which is 53 million people. You can see that here. We don't want that, do we? So I'm not going to name my ad set, because I need to know where I'm sending ads to. So again, daily budget, I'm going to take it to either £10 or £5, whatever your budget is fine. The date, I'm going to set it to from the next business day, and I'm going to change the time. So again, I'm going to do this time actually for my custom audience, right? Because I'm doing it to cold, I'm going to go back to my hit list. So this time for my custom audience, I'm not going to use any custom audience. I want to show you how to run a different type, to a different type of audience, right? To your detailed targeting. We do need to do some exclusions, but I'm going to come back to that later on. So let's come back to this. Let's change the country, because I've already said on my campaign level that I'm targeting the US. So let me change it to United States over here. And the age, so I'm going to target 30 to 65 plus, and I'm going to change it to women, right? So the numbers are going down drastically over here to women. Now, this is where I'm going to make the bulk of the changes for where I want Facebook to target now. So in the traffic campaign, I showed you how to target or to send an ad to your lookalike audiences. Remember, you can do that as well in your engagement campaign, which is what I'm doing now, or in the video views campaigns, which is what I'm going to be doing next. You can do it in any campaign. But for this one, I'm just going to show you how to do detailed targeting over here. So you click on edit over here, and I typed in an interest, Amy Porterfield, over here. So now it's taking me all the way down to only 210,000 people, right? And that is because I'm doing the United States, and I'm doing 30 to 65 plus, and I'm doing only women. So if I did all men and women, the size increases, but I'm going to keep it to women. And if I change the age, look at that. The size massively increases. Do you see that? So that means Amy Porterfield has a lot of younger people, looking at her, which is brilliant, right? So, but I'm going to stick to 30. to 210, right? And women over here. So because this audience is really tiny, now if your question is, but Pam, how, what's the maximum number of audience that I can have and what's the minimum? In all honesty, I try to work from anything from 100,000 to 1 million for this level of budget. Okay, so you want to keep it quite small. So I'm quite happy with this. I'm quite happy with 210,000, because if I wanted to narrow it even further and say to Facebook, I want them to be aged between 30 to 65 plus, I want them to be women, I want them to like Amy Porterfield plus, right? I want to narrow it even further. I click on narrow audience over here and I want them to not only like Amy Porterfield, and they must match. So if I click here, you can see this graph over here that it says they must like Amy Porterfield and something else, which means Facebook is only going to target those who are in the middle of this. Do you see that? So if I say Amy Porterfield and they must be small business owners as a behavior or as an interest. See, as an interest, it's tiny, 33,000 people. So let's go with behavior. So now it's gone to 17,000 people. It's minuscule, right? So that is too small. You want it to be a minimum of 100,000, right? But if you wanted to increase that, right? So instead of doing narrow audience, you could just click in here and add a different audience. So you might say, I want them to like Amy Porterfield and I want them to also be using ConvertKit. Let's see if ConvertKit is in here. Okay, ConvertKit isn't here. Let's try. Oops, Teachable isn't there either. Thinkific. Not found. What I can do instead is on Amy Porterfield over here, or rather I'm going to type in Amy Porterfield here and click on suggestions. So now it's showing me other people who might or might not be on my hit list, right? So I might go, actually, I want them to like Amy Porterfield and I want them to be interested in entrepreneurship because it's there. So now I've gone, look at that. Let's do this again so you can see. Can you see it says 24 million? That's way too big. Look at that. So if I remove this, so Amy Porterfield, 210,000. The moment I added entrepreneurship, it went to 24 million. That is way too big, right? So let me do that again. Let's try a different interest, Amy Porterfield. And if I go to suggestions, let's try Female Entrepreneur Association because I don't want it to be too massive. Oh, brilliant. I love this size. 1.6 million. This is good. Under 2 million is good. Over 2 million, the budget is just too small. Okay. So I've got here. So Amy Porterfield, and I want them to like Female Entrepreneur Association. So that means that Facebook has added these two categories together, making it a very, very broad audience. So I could say, actually, Facebook, this is too big. I want to narrow down if you want to. These are just options that I'm giving you now. I want to narrow down because I want them to also be interested in entrepreneurship. Remember earlier, I added entrepreneurship. Now I'm narrowing by entrepreneurship. So I'm making it smaller, right? Hence the narrow. So now it's brought it down to 1.4 million. So this is pretty good. I would actually personally target this. I actually love this. So what I'm saying to Facebook is I want to show my ad to women aged between 30 and 65 women. They must like Amy Porterfield. They must also like Female Entrepreneur Association, and they must be interested in entrepreneurship. Facebook, how many of them in the United States are there? So Facebook is saying there are 1.4 million people, Pam, and I'm saying, brilliant, thank you. Lovely doing business with you, Facebook. So right there, 1.4 million people. Now, this number is going to change because the moment we go down, right? So this is where I was. I'm going to go down here. I still need to do my exclusions, which I haven't done, but I'm going to go down to manual placements. Don't keep it on automatic. I'm going to remove Instagram. I'm going to remove Facebook because, sorry, I'm going to remove audience insights because I'm only going to target Facebook. Look at that. It's brought it right down to 330,000 people. Because it's a small budget, I'm happy with that. If I want to target Instagram, I'm going to set up a different ad set for that, a different campaign for that. Okay, so now on Facebook, I don't want to show it to everybody on Facebook. I don't want to show it in the marketplace or the video feeds. I want to show it literally on just the news feed. So I'm going to remove all of these here. Let's see. All of these here and these here, right? So it's still 330,000 people. I'm happy with that. That's good. If I wanted to increase that number, guess what I would do? I would just remove this one. Okay, so if I removed this one, it's only increased it by a tiny bit, right? But this is how you play with your numbers so that you can see how many people you are targeting, right? At £5, you're not even going to cover this amount of people, okay? So the next thing I want to do, which I didn't do, is I'm going to scroll back up and add the name. So now I know it's Amy Porterfield. And I don't remember the second one. Oh yes, Female Entrepreneur Association. Aged 30 to 65 plus. And women, right? So female. I'm going to put F there, right? So now I've named my ad set because I know what it is. I'm now going to scroll down to, hold on, to here, to audience, right? So if you're wondering, Pam, I'm lost, go back to the top and scroll down to audience. Now I'm going to do my exclusions. Because I want this to show to just my cold audience, I want to exclude everybody who is warm. So who is warm, right? I'm going to hit on exclusions over here. Don't type here because that would be include, right? We want to do exclude. So we're going to type here. So now I want to exclude everybody who has visited my website, right? Oops. In the last 180 days. I'm also going to exclude people who are connected with me on Facebook because I really want this to be super cold because I'm paying for cold, right? I'm trying to make my cold people warm. So it makes no sense that I market to them at this. So it makes no sense that I market to my warm audience at this stage. I want to market to my warm audience when I get into the middle of funnel. So now I'm going to exclude my Instagram. So I've excluded my website visitors, Facebook people, Instagram people, and now I want to exclude my email list. Okay, now I've excluded my email list. So these are my my warm audiences. Now, can you see that what has happened is Facebook has removed that number. Now I can no longer see how many people are left. This is why I leave this exclusion till last, because then I know roughly I had 330,000 people. These exclusions are not going to be more than 20,000, right? Or 30,000. So I can estimate how many people are remaining. But if I had done this exclusion first, I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have any data at all. It's a bug in Facebook that they haven't fixed, but it's just what happens at the moment you add your exclusions, it just removes this data, and I like to see that data. So I leave the exclusions till last. So now that I've done, I'm just going to look through, make sure I've done everything, and it looks like I have, right? I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and that's it. I'm going to click on next. Okay. Now it says there are two errors. Select an existing post on your ID or create or user creative. That's fine. Thank you, Facebook. So again, I'm in the ad here. I'm going to choose my Facebook page, which it has already selected, and that's fine. It's saying use an existing post over here. So what I can do is I can click over here and I can either use a brand new ad if I have never created an ad, or if I have created an ad in the past, I can use an existing post. So how do you create your ad? You go over here to create ad. Yeah, it's already selected. You go down here and you click on add media. You're going to select, are you going to use an image or a video? Let's imagine I'm using an image. Facebook has brought up all the images that I have here on my account. If your account is brand new, you just click on upload and select your image and it will upload and appear here. For now, I'm just simply going to select an image that was already there. So I'm going to select this one here. Click on next. Click on done. The image is going to appear here. Then you're going to add your copy here, add your call to action. I always use learn more for my call to action. Add your URL. Okay, so depending on where you are taking people to, you want them to engage, you want to take people to your landing page of, you know, whatever it is that you're promoting. So right now I want to take people to this, right? So this is for my challenge. Let's imagine that's where I'm sending people to. I'm going to add that there. Oops. This input call to action is invalid. Please fix. Okay. Why? Let's try this. Ah, okay. Okay, there we go. I think there was a bug. Learn more is completely fine. Yes, it's fine. Oh, hold on. Why? There. Brilliant. So you've added your copy and you have added your call to action over here, and that's it. That's all the information when it comes to an engagement that you have to do. In other types of ads, there's other things that you will have to do, but this is different. This is just an engagement campaign, and this is for people to engage in your campaign. So that's all you have to do. So you just add your copy over here, and there will be a learn more button, and that's it. You check that your pixel is selected, which it is over there, and that's it. You hit publish. And it's doing, it's publishing 3 things. So it's going to publish your campaign, your ad set, and your ad. Go back to Ads Manager. This is the ad. I'm going to click X so that we can see what it looks like. So it says in review. That means that Facebook is going to check that I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't broken any rules before they approve my ad. And once it's approved, it's going to say scheduled. That's it. So if I click over on campaign, we can see that this is the campaign. It's scheduled over here. It's ticked even. The ad set is going to say scheduled, but the ad is going to say in review, and that's how you know that you've done it correctly. And then you wait. You need to give it 24 to 48 hours to get approved. And that's it. That's how you set up your engagement campaign.
Thank you for watching. I hope that you have learned how to create an engagement campaign, and if not, you've made a decision for when and how to create an engagement campaign. I want to invite you to take a look at this playlist, which is all about Facebook marketing. It's the best stuff out there that is truly going to help you to be successful using Facebook. Make sure you check out that playlist. I also want to invite you to join me inside of my Facebook community, where I go live pretty regularly, and I teach all sorts of things related to marketing. I keep you abreast of all of the changes, with algorithms and any changes on these platforms, and most importantly, how to use them successfully. I will be linking out to the group right below this video. So before you go, make sure you've subscribed, given me the thumbs up, and all of that good stuff. And of course, comment. How do you feel about running an engagement campaign? Is it your thing? Is it not your thing? Is it something you're going to now be doing? Go ahead and do that. And of course, don't forget to check out this playlist all about Facebook marketing. And I'll see you in my next video.